Welcome to the We Ballin' 2 podcast
with Coach Ani and Deb,
where we talk hoops, life, and everything in between.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of We Ballin' 2 podcast. We got, of course, me, Deb. We got Coach Ani. And today we're joined by someone special who truly understands what it means to dominate at every level of the game. Before she was a coach, she was a force on the court, a three-time Big East champion, an All-American at DePaul University, where she was named the 2020 Big East Defensive Player of the Year. She took her talents overseas, playing professionally in France, Hungary, and Germany, proving that she could compete with the best in the world. But that didn't stop there. She didn't stop at playing. With a master's in positive coaching and athletic leadership, which is a dope degree, she's now shaping the next generation of talent as an assistant coach for the powerhouse Gulf Coast State Lady Commodores. From the Blue Demon mentality to the JUCO grind, she's here to talk about the transition from pro athlete to mentor. So welcome to the show, Coach Chante Stonewall.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. It is a pleasure to finally meet you. Coach Ani has talked a lot about you, so it's a pleasure to finally see you in person, even though we're not necessarily in person, but it's good to finally meet you.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
Yes. So we're just gonna jump right into it. And start off with our questions. So you were legendary at DePaul. That's what I hear. Okay, and of course we're talking about the bubble year, which was completely insane. So shout out to every athlete that had to go through that process. I know that was tough for you guys. And I'm a mom of a basketball player, so it was tough for me. My daughter did not get a season that year for seventh grade, so it was tough for a lot of people. But at DePaul, let's talk about Coach Bruno. You want to talk about Coach Bruno?
I love talking about Coach Bruno, the GOAT. My teammates, I was there from 2016 to 2020. So I was right before COVID. I was in the very, very beginning of COVID. So I had my four years at DePaul.
Oh, good.
Great 4 years at
Okay.
DePaul. A lot of learning. But Coach Bruno, let me say, when I remember him, my first encounter with him was at the State Farm Classic down in Bloomington. And he sat front center of the whole stand. I believe we were at West. He was front and center in his very deep not royal blue. Oh, was it royal blue? Yeah, royal blue and scarlet letters. DePaul sitting right in front of, just sitting here just like this. He was just sitting there just like that, just watching. And I knew exactly who he was there for. And that was my first encounter. And at the end of the game, he said, "Big time players make big time shots." And I ended up hitting the game winner at half court to go send us to the State Farm Classic championship that year. So at that moment, I knew, okay, like this guy stayed. He came around. They were at all my track meets, like sports that I wasn't even involved in. That's when I knew DePaul
Wow.
was like the school. Yeah, they invested
Yeah.
their time in sports that I wasn't in. But Doug Bruno, he's a GOAT. He's a legend, not just at our school, not in the city of Chicago, but just women's basketball in general. I don't feel like he's talked about enough. I feel like he's
Yeah.
very underrated. He's taken so many teams. We were during my time at DePaul, we were one of the four teams, us, UConn, Tennessee, who had been to the NCAA tournament 18 straight times in a row. And I feel like that stat nobody really, or that fact nobody really knows. We knew as DePaul players, but I feel like not a lot of people in the world knew that. So I mean, the man, he has Brunoisms, or they call them Brunoisms, little
Yes.
sayings. I guess you can
Yes.
call it as like a shout out and an echo effect kind of thing, which is what I
Mm-hmm.
brought to Gold Coast here too. But he's hardcore. And everybody joke around and say, if you could survive DePaul with that, as him as a head coach, you could survive anything in life. So it had its trying times. It had like its evolutionary times. One of the best choices I made in my life. And I love Coach Bruno dearly. He actually just stepped down and he retired just a couple years ago after spending what was it, his 44th season at DePaul. So when I was there,
Wow.
it was his 38th season at DePaul. I started on the men's side and then worked his way to the women's side and have been there ever since. So
That's a long
my
time.
coach is a Hall of Famer. I say that with great honor to have played for him. He knows his stuff, and not only just as the X's and O's, but about player development, about forming leaders in the world. And I take him with me every single person I talk to. They always shout out like, man, like Doug Bruno, like he's a big deal. And I'm like, he really is. So love that man, love playing for him, and I
Yeah.
enjoy my time at the ball.
Do you still keep in touch with him?
I do. So
Okay.
everybody knows he's going through his transition of why he stepped down, which is his
Mhm.
business. But yeah, despite everything that's going on, I still do reach out to him. And when he always sends me happy birthday texts too, and I make sure I send him a happy Father's Day, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, stuff like that. So
Yeah. So
I
what's
have a
the biggest?
question. I
Okay,
have
I'm
one
sorry. Go
question
ahead. Go ahead.
before you move on. When you were recruited, did you just automatically know you were going to DePaul? Because I know you got recruited by a lot of schools. So did he just stand out, or did you
I'm
have
so
like,
sorry. I can't hear. Is your mic on?
yeah, my mic's on. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, you
I
can't hear
can't
me?
hear her.
She can't hear me.
Okay, let's see. She said during the recruiting process, because she knows you got recruited by a lot of different schools,
Hmm.
was he the number one school all along? Or did you know that that's where you wanted to go? Or was it kind of like he just kind of stood out? Like what made you choose DePaul?
Right. Growing up, I got my first offer from Mercer, Seton
Mhm.
Hall, and Evansville all came in the same year, my seventh grade year. I got my first offer in the seventh
Wow.
grade. I was at Kingsley Junior High School, just made the seventh grade team. Like they didn't even let me make eighth grade team. Apparently, I wasn't that good when I was in seventh grade. And Doug Bruno came along my sophomore year in high school when I was at the University High School under Laura Sellers, Coach Laura Sellers. And I had 31 offers going into my junior year. 31, or going into my senior year, I had 31 offers. And I know I wanted to make my decision so that I can have a peaceful senior year. I didn't want to have stress. I didn't want to have to keep feeling
Right.
like I had to compete. I just wanted to have a peace of mind before entering my senior year. So I always knew my family and I always knew that my last summer of AAU travel basketball that I was going to make my decision. And he was very persistent. Like I said, he showed up. But my top five schools was DePaul, Alabama, Florida Gulf Coast, Illinois, and maybe Mizzou. Mizzou was my last five, and they talked to me all the time, all day, every day. They came to home visits. Before, I don't know if they still do home visits now, but there's a 12-day window where they can do home visits, and every single day, one out of 12 days, I had a home visit every single day. So I go to school, and after school, I sat there with coaches in my living room, and they gave me their spiel. Some were more enthusiastic more than others, like Kansas, Purdue, Iowa, Illinois was there, DePaul was there. All these schools sitting in my living room with my parents, and like that was a time to be alive. Like that was the time I felt like exciting time. I didn't know how to navigate through that time. Coach Sellers was there. I made sure that she was there in my process. I was one of her players that like she never got to experience that before, so I went to her to be very very involved with my process. But like I said, Coach Bruno, he already had an established program. A lot of people were saying like, hey, in 2 or 3 years, like, we can really be doing something. That's something Alabama had told me, something Mizzou had told me. And it's not that I didn't believe it, but when you're an 18-year-old, not that I wanted microwave results, but at the time I'm like, no, I want to go to a program that's already established. They had been to the NCAA tournament 14 times in a row at that time. They were top 25 in the nation, constantly having players year after year after year get drafted. So I'm like, this seems promising. And it's close to home, even though I didn't care it was close to home. My dad, he's from the south side of Chicago, went to Orr High School. So he wanted me to stay home. My mom's from Birmingham, Alabama. So I was kind of going the Alabama route. Have a really great relationship with Coach Curry down. She was the head coach at Alabama. Now she's the head coach. She just took it this year at USF. So both schools were neck and neck. And when it was time to make my decision, I'll tell you the story. I'm laying in bed. And maybe a week before, Coach Bruno said, hey, look, it's 4 scholarships. I mean, we offer 4 players and there's 2 scholarships left. I don't know if that's a recruiting tactic or not. I didn't know if that was, he was, being honest or not. But I was like, okay, if they're gone, then that's not where God wanted me to go. And he's like, okay, it's going to keep you in the loop. We really want you. I really want to coach you. And I think you could be very successful here. I'm going to sleep and I pray on it. And I'm very big on praying about it. I'm laying down and I say, okay, Lord, like I need an answer because I don't want to miss this. I don't want to miss this. So I wake up and I had a bunch of snapbacks, right? Had snapbacks along my vanity. And it was from a lot of places around the world. And out the ray, I have blinds. It was like the sun ray was coming right over the Chicago Bulls head. And I'm like, I didn't think twice. I asked God for confirmation. I woke up. First thing I saw, the light was hitting it directly across the word Chicago. Called him. Again, one of the best decisions in my life. So that's
Wow.
how I was able to choose the ball.
Right.
And then also when I did tear my ACL, so I committed, right? I tore my ACL last tournament of my career as a high schooler. Tore my ACL. Last game, last tournament. I was in Milwaukee at the Milwaukee Fieldhouse. Everybody knows that tournament. It's the last one. It was supposed to be like a, for fun kind of tournament. Like, let's just hang out. Everybody got their school. Let's just, have fun. I go, I jab. My body went this way
Your
too
knee went
quick. And
that
I
way.
just, yep. And I just fell. I didn't know what I did. I was like, a very sharp pain up my hamstring. So they set me out. And when I looked up, in that tournament, they got coaches that sit all the way around the track. I'm telling you, when I looked up, every phone was to their ear. I didn't know what they were doing. By the time I got to my car, it was a no contact period. It was my teammates, my future teammates. The player that was actually on my visit, that was my host, Marte Graves from Detroit, Michigan. She called me, she's like, hey, what happened? Everybody's saying you injured. And it was like a big deal. Like coaches
Wow.
had got to Coach Bruno when I finally got a chance to talk to Coach Bruno. He like, man, my phone was blowing up about you. Like, are you okay? He checked up on me. He's like, hey, you can get your surgery up here. I want to make sure you rehab well. Like, don't worry about the Bloomington normal specialist.
Uh-huh.
Go up north. Like, we'll take care of you. We got the White Sox coach. He'll do the surgery and your rehab at the Bulls facility. Like, it was like he had a whole game plan for me. And my parents like, we're gonna trust the Illinois State football surgeon. I think his name was Dr. Seidel. They said you're gonna do it down here, and we're gonna trust you. She's like, well, can she rehab up here? Because like we want her to be college ready, not high school ready. And I was like, you know what I'm gonna do, what I make a commitment to was I won't rush back. They
Yeah.
say, I want to play my senior year. It wasn't ideal to sit out my senior year, but I'm like, I will be smart about this.
Yeah.
Doctors like, you can rehab fast. They put me with the boy group. Let me start cutting at 7 months. And, my trainer, my athletic trainer, my rehab person was named, I don't know his last name anymore, but his name was Cody. He was at Sports Enhancement in Bloomington and they rehabbed me. Coach Cody, if you ever see this video, thank you so much. Because from the bottom of my heart, thank you, because he dedicated his time to make sure I was ready. And on the days that I struggled, which there's gonna be days, if y'all have ever torn your ACL, you're gonna have days where you struggle. You're making progress and then you're not. I was making progress on my crutches. They like, after 10 days, you'll get off. I was on my crutches for 2 weeks because my progress wasn't where I still had a limp in the way I walked. They were like, you're not ready.
Mhm.
So everybody's gonna progress differently in it. But yeah, he was still loyal. He checked up on me once a week, twice a week. How's rehab going? How you doing? Keep your head up. He told me this saying, you talk about Brunoisms, when your body can't go, train your mind to go.
Mm.
You physically can't go. You got to train your mind to go. He'll tell me, like, you laying down on your couch, he's like, you can spend time crying, cry it out. Be sad, mourn something. You lost something, mourn it. Don't try to act like it's not there. Don't try to compare yourself to the next player or feel bad for yourself. Like, train your mind so that when you're ready, you're ready. So when I got to the ball in the summer of June, I still had done no contact, no contact. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I'm intimidated. I haven't played basketball in a competitive way. I was, back one-on-one doing my
Right.
one-on-one trainings, but no contact. And he was like, well, they say you're cleared. And I got cleared from sports and enhancement. I talked to Coach Sellers. I said, I think I should wait. I don't want to play. She let me take one shot as my senior so I can have on
Yeah.
senior night. She let me start.
Mhm.
She let me walk. Both respect. I believe it was Eureka High School. They let me score my first points. Then they took me out and then they scored a basket. Got my standing ovation for everything I've been able to do at U High. And then, that was it. That was it. Made the choice.
Wow.
Nobody told me to sit out. Doctor said I was clear, and I said, nope, it's all good. I'll save it for college. And I'm so happy I did. I was so happy. My parents didn't say, don't come back. Coach Sellers never said don't come back. Like, that was a very personal choice of my
Yeah.
own. Like, I just prayed about it, and I'm like, no, 1 year is good. So technically, it was a full year. I got cleared right before the season. They cleared me in Chicago, did the same test. I had to pass on my test. And they said, actually, I tore my left ACL and meniscus and I had a bone bruise. I hit my bone so hard I almost broke my knee. It was a weird accident. They said your left
Wow.
knee stronger than your left knee stronger than your right knee. And ever since, I tore my ACL when I was 17 and I've been healthy ever since. I never had a re-tear, and I think it's because I took my time and I really took my rehab serious. And I still rehab
Yeah.
to this day. It's an injury that you can never stop rehabbing from. So
I
I
wish
love
you
Doug
would.
Bruno for that.
I know a couple of girls that need to hear that you never stop rehabbing from that because
Yeah.
they're a little hard headed. But
Yeah.
that's these kids these days. They're a little different than.
For lack of better words.
Well, that's all I'm going to say. They're a little different. So, what do you think the biggest lesson is that you try to teach your young players about the unglamorous side of basketball? Because you've kind of seen all different sides of it.
Yeah. There's a saying, you start saying it here. Everybody's gonna fail. Just make sure you fail forward. Everybody failed at something. You fall. We all
Right.
fall. Fall forward. Let it
Right.
prepare you. Learn what resilience is. Be sad. I think Coach Bruno, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be like disappointed in the fact you didn't hit a goal, you didn't hit a quota, you didn't, get a scholarship at the place you love, like, make lemonade out of your lemons. Like you really start to learn what resilience is. And it's okay to lean on your support system. If it wasn't for my village, people would come to my house just to spend time with me. And when I started to hoop again and walk again, they would work out with me. They'll rebound for me. Like you need your village. You shouldn't have to go by yourself. I know we'll get to it soon, but like when I didn't get drafted, lean on your village. You're not supposed to go through this tough stuff alone. And despite nobody in my family play basketball, right? I am one of one, right? I got a little
Wow.
cousin, Dallas Smith, who actually is like, going place. He just committed to Augustana, right? I'm so happy for him. Shout out to Dallas. Nobody paved the way for me. So I tell people all the time, I'm like walking in the blind. I hope I don't trip, but I understand because I'm the first to do it in my family. I'm the first to go to school for athletics. First to get my master's. First to soon, hopefully, get my PhD. Like I understand,
Okay.
like not knowing I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna I'm gonna be my own teacher. I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna hit a brick wall and have to figure out I gotta go back this way. Take a couple detours. So I'm learning to show myself grace. So to the future players, future anybody, whatever you do, like it's okay. Show yourself grace. Be kind to yourself. Speak positive. Speak life for yourself. If you can't do it, find yourself some godlike friends. The ones that can do it for you on the days that you can't do it.
Yeah.
Love my parents. Oh my God, love my parents. Shout out to my parents. The Stonewalls, great people. And the older I get, I'm like, wow. I'm 28 now, right? But I'm like, wow, my parents did so much. So much that's not talked about. So much
Yeah.
that's not noticed as you're 18 years old or 16 years old. My dad's not a basketball player, but he was on YouTube trying to get me better. Somebody came to him one day, he's like, your daughter is actually really excelled in this basketball stuff. We didn't know anything about college. We kept saying, how does she get to play D1? Who do we
Right.
call? Will they find her? I didn't go to no big extravagant AAU program. To the players that feel like they're not being seen. No, the coaches will find you. The
That's
coaches
true.
found me. They'll come to Bloomington, small Bloomington, not really known for basketball. They will come find you. There's a saying in Chicago, there's no talent under I-80, right? Who runs east to west. There's no talent under here. Bloomington Normal's under I-80. So, they came found me. I said,
Yeah.
that's saying might be true, but not entirely. So keep your head up, understand it's okay to be down, but like when everybody go through something, everybody got a story. And when you fail, because it's life, make sure you fall forward. That's all.
I love that. I love a parent who's very proactive in the process too. Like not overly, but enough that what I'm saying, because we know there's two sides of the coin. There's the crazy parents, and then there's the parents
Yeah.
the parents
Hmm.
that understand the process and just want to see you grow. And I'm hoping at some point my soon to be 18-year-old will say the things that you just said about your parents about
Yeah.
me. Hopefully
I'm
one day
sure
she'll
they
be like,
will.
He
you know
will.
what? My mom did a lot. I taught her how to shoot. I taught her how to dribble. I was not a basketball player. I did not play
Mm.
basketball. I was a volleyball player, but I'm the one that taught her, gave her the basketball, put a hoop in my living room for her to play on, and let her just shoot. So maybe one day I'll get that. Right
One
now,
day
she's still just you know a
she'll
little
get there.
teenager. These kids these days, I tell you,
They're different.
they are very different. Um, so what was the speaking about going overseas, because we're going to get to the draft, but You played in France, Hungary, and Germany. What was the most eye-opening cultural adjustment you had to make as a professional basketball player in Europe?
So France, I went during COVID, so they still had
Mm,
COVID restrictions. They had stay-at-home
mm,
orders, and I actually got a memory on my phone the other day, and there was so we were only allowed. The rule was you're only allowed out of your house for 1 hour of the day. So 23 out of 24 hours, it was a
wow.
shutdown, and they took that very seriously. Very scary time. I know I've always wanted to go to France, and the thing is, talk about a full circle moment. DePaul always takes Europe trips every 4 years.
Mhm.
So as freshman through senior, you go 1 time, and that's something they sold me on too, because no other school was doing that. So they took us. Our school is DePaul University, which is a Catholic school, the biggest Catholic school with 33,000 students, and the person that found the school was Saint Vincent de Paul. So one of the part of the things that they have in our program is they want us to go see and walk the same trail Saint Vincent de Paul walked. So we were there for 3 weeks. My mom actually got to go on that with me, which was really cool. Dad stayed at home with the dogs, but I told him I'm like, you should have went. But I was able to get that experience with my mom. And in the small city, we went to Italy, we went to Paris, and then we went somewhere else, Con France. So the team that I signed with was only 30 minutes away from Con France. So when I went and signed for the club team, they were like, we seen you play before. And I'm like, when? This is, 3 years ago. I'm like, really? And then they start showing me pictures of DePaul facing the team
Wow.
that in the same conference that I had just signed professionally. I'm like, wow, God, okay, got her in the details, got her in the details. So that was my first contract. And like I said, 23 out of 24 hours, you're staying home. And so there was a grocery store. There was an attestation, is what they called it, which was it was a form on our phones you have to fill out, and you had to take your passport and a form on your phone and show proof that you were going to whatever location because of XYZ purposes. So for
Mhm.
me, I only left my house for groceries and medical purposes, which would be like vitamins or anything I have to pick up at a pharmacy or like a COVID swab or something like that or so. And then exercises. So if I want to exercise outside, you have to get it signed off. So for example, if it was people walking around in green and black military army like gear with guns, big guns, I said, Mom, I don't know if I feel safe or if I'm scared. My first time living again on my own. I had a roommate at DePaul. So first time really living on my own in a different country. And this is the circumstances. So it was very different, a little scary. I ended up buying my first dog when I was in France. He's at home with my parents. His name is Louis. So
Oh,
that was my first dog. I got a Chihuahua. And they were just selling it. I would say it was a store kind of like a Sam's Club and a Menards mixed together. And in the back, it was like a Petco. So he was a part of the barn. And I'm like, if that dog is still there next week, I'm gonna buy him with my paycheck. I was so happy, get some money. It's not like the men making, but it was decent. So I bought the dog, and my parents like, "You got a dog?" I'm like, "I'm lonely. I barely leave my house." And we play once a week, every Friday. So we did contact tracing, COVID contact tracing. So if our team had a COVID case or the other team we were playing had a COVID case, the game was canceled. So for 7 weeks, we didn't have a game because either
oh
our team or the
wow.
other team had COVID. So I was like, Mom, I'm bored. I had another very scary situation. I had a stalker out in France. So
Wow.
it was, one of
Oh,
those things, for me, I didn't know the location. So yes, I did. I kept walking the same circle because I was familiar with it. It's very dangerous. My dad being a law
mm,
enforcement, he was like, you should have changed what you were doing. But thankfully I contacted my club once I realized it was a encounter with that person. It got really
mhm,
scary. And I'm like, please move me. And my agent got on it very quickly, and I got moved to an entirely different apartment in a whole different area. So I didn't have to worry about that. But living in France for my first year was a different experience, humbling, for lack of better words, but still really good experience. Still like the league, like the pace. Taught me a lot about myself as a person, being adjusted to the time difference. It was an 8-hour time difference. Then with daylight savings, it was a 9-hour time difference at a short amount of time. So it was very different, but overall, very, very good. Got to go to Paris. My team took me to Paris for my birthday. So that was really cool. So that was my second time going to Paris. Lovely experience. And like 5 girls on my team, we're still really cool. And they always say, we got to come to America. And I'm like, you guys do. And when you guys do, I will take you to Chicago. They never been to Chicago. I'll take you to Chicago, like Bloomington. But Chicago, we can go
right.
to Chicago and, check it out. So that's how it was my first year.
Was that your favorite place to play? Was that or were there
Hungary. I went
Hungary was
Budapest,
okay.
Hungary. Yes, Buda is, I would say, the upscale side, and Pesh is the more urban, right? You
Okay.
may see a lot of different cultures in the Pesh side. So I really like that, and that felt like kind of like a Chicago style.
Hmm.
Um, unlike, Munich, I've always got to live in big cities, right? Paris, Budapest, Munich. Those are like bigger cities. And of course, I spent my 4 years at DePaul. So, how they say these young kids say city girls, I started to realize like I'm a city girl. I like to live in a city. I like big cities. So even now that I'm living in Panama City, it's a change of speed, but it's nice here. Like
Yeah.
I'm starting to love, the different. Do I like quiet? Do I like water? Do I like, starting to figure it out. So when it is time to settle down, I know exactly what I want to move at.
Okay. Okay. So do you want to get into the WNBA draft and that whole process and everything?
Yeah.
Um, so you were on the watch list in 2020.
Mm.
Tell us about how that all went down. Like, what was the process, and how did you feel coming out on the other side of that process?
Yeah, so I was going into, we always have, for those who want to transfer, they'll have exit meetings. And for the ones that want to return, you have to renew your scholarship. So it was the end of the year, and they were like, we want you, of course, we want you to come back. And I'll be honest, very transparent. My freshman year, that was not how the conversation was going. They were like, you might want to go look for a new school. And I'm like, I was shocked. I said, you know what?
Wow.
I'm gonna get my stuff together because it was really me. I had a rough freshman year, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna get it together. But so junior year, he made a joke. He was like, this ain't the same conversation we was having a couple years ago. I'm like, I know, but I'm so happy that I learned my lesson. But no, so we were talking about goals, and he said, give me team goals. We had to do team goals, personal goals, and academic goals at DePaul. That was our returning meeting. So he told me all my goals, and I said, and last, so most of them, I focus on my team, I focus on myself, getting better shooting percentage, averages, whatever. And I said, but Coach Bruno, like, since the day I came here, it's a hallway in the McGrath Arena, and it has everybody's face and plaque who's been drafted. 2020, it's there, and they're waiting to fill a spot. So I remembered on my visit, I said, this is gonna be me. And I tap it. So every day I walk to the office, I just tap it. Kind of like manifesting, whatever. I tap it. So it's a year, senior year is the most important year. That's where you can actually become an option. So I told him, I'm like, I want my face to be in that. So what we got to do that? I want my face to be right there. I told you when I was 18, I'm telling you now, 21, about to be 22. I want my face in that. He's like, well, if you take care of all this stuff, the personal goals and the team goals, you have a really good chance to make that happen. And I said, that's all he said. Didn't tell me the averages I needed. Didn't tell me anything. He said, if you get done everything on the list, with the grades too, your chances are gonna be pretty high. All right. So fast forward, we had to do like a physical for the WNBA. So when I got my
Hmm.
physical, it got emailed like, you need a physical. I'm like, oh wow, like this is getting real. From my conditioning to my workouts to just overall playing. I was very focused that year and just really being intentional. Like, yeah, I might have said it when I was a little girl, 5 years old, I wanna go pro, right? I never specifically said I want to go WNBA. We use the word pro. I want to go
Right.
pro. I want to be a pro. So keep that detail in mind. So I'm like, okay, I want to go pro. Obviously, WNBA is on my mind. I'm not really thinking about overseas at the point, but pro. So Coach Bruno, he never let things be a surprise for the most part. He would tell us what it is. He was like, hey, like this is a week. We're gonna have like 3 or 4 recruiting coordinators come in from these pro teams. I'm not gonna tell you where, you'll see it when they get here. But just wanna let you know, like, don't be nervous. Don't be, I don't have to tell you not to be selfish because he knows me. But he was like, just be prepared and be all that you are. He never explained what that is. He's like, be all that what you are. So first team that came in our gym was the Connecticut Sun. He was a recruiting coordinator. I can't think of his name on top of my head right now, but he was there. Bright orange, Connecticut Sun logo on his chest. And everybody's like, who is he for? Meant you. I know, because we had a personal conversation. So anybody who come in our gym, we were told to shake their hand, look them in the eye, say first and last name. That was a rule we had there. So I was excited. And Connecticut Sun, a recruiting coordinator, shook my hand. He's like, have a great practice, Chante, Stonewall. And I'm like, oh, this is real. Like, talking about nerves, sweaty palms. I was so excited, but I was so locked in. I'm like, this is time to shine. This is what we prepared for years and years and years. So he came in our gym multiple times. Atlanta Dream, Indiana Fever. Those were the main people, locally. And then obviously Atlanta Fever, I think they just, needed a player like me at the time. And so that was that. It's the Big East tournament, right? This is the time where they really want to see if you can play good. Playoffs, and
Right.
then obviously, so same thing. They're in the stands. They came to my shoot around the day, the morning of. They came to the practices leading up to the Big East tournament. at Wintrust. So Wintrust is now a gym at this point in time. We're hosting for the third year in a row, and they're in the practice gym. And I'm nervous, like as all get out. I'm like, wow, like they're still here. Like this is real. Like I feel it. As you talked about in the very beginning, to talk about mock drafts. So from the very first mock draft of October 2020, 2019, all the way to March 21st, I was in every mock draft, as high as number 15, I believe, and as low as 25th pick, 32 pick, whatever. So I'm like, okay, like I don't really care where it's at. I just want it to
Right.
happen. So, and they had me going to Connecticut. LA Sparks is my most exciting one. I'm like, yeah. Well, talk about growing up, talk about the who's. LA Sparks, right? Kenneth Sparker.
Right.
Uh, Everybody's dream school growing up was University of Tennessee, right? To play for Pat Summit. So like those were, I'm like, wow, is my name next to, oh, that'd be great. Yeah, like please let that happen for me. And then played a good game. Didn't get back-to-back player of the tournament, but that was okay. Still got first team defensive player of the year, some big time awards. I said, okay, my averages were good. Talk about averages. Like my production year after year just continued to increase. So COVID happens, right?
Mhm.
COVID happens. Coach Bruno called us in, told the seniors, myself and another senior, hey, it's a big chance that we won't have a playoffs. Like, happy that we ended our season off on a win because not a lot of people got to do that. But, we got
Right.
the automatic bid. We'll find out in the next like 2 days if the NCAA tournament will be canceled. They just canceled the NBA. They're probably going to cancel us. They cancel an NBA, they're going to cancel us. And sure enough, ESP notification, everybody phone, bing, bing, bing. And I was like, so, in my head, I'm like, what does this mean for my draft opportunities? But also I was super
Right.
excited. I'm like, I'm done with college. I'm not an amateur no more. Where the money at? Like I was, because there was no NIL, right? We just playing for the love of the
Right.
game and for the confetti parties. We like to call them confetti parties. So that's all we play for. We play because we love our coach. It was nothing else. We had cost of attendance, which was like $200 a month. These kids, I had a player here just signed for $300,000. And this is coming from a JUCO. So like, yeah, like these kids are in a good
Wow.
time to be alive. A good time to be alive. I'm like, I would have been a
Wow.
millionaire if NIL was around. But I'm happy for them. But nevertheless, I go home. They tell us, hey, everybody got to leave campus. So I go home and my phone is blowing up. I'm talking about the moment that notification came out, ESPN, NCAA tournament is gone. Phone, Instagram, Facebook. Usually Instagram was like a thing people communicated through. Instagram, Facebook. I didn't really use Twitter. Not really a big fan of MySpace. But my Instagram. Bing, bing, bing. Can I be your agent? Let's talk. Let's do business. Like, congratulations on the good season. Let me be your agent. I had over 6 people trying to represent me. And I selected this agency that was a local agency because people, once again, I'm new to this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I need to be talking to, who to trust, not to trust. And I was like, okay, this feels good. And I'm very big on prayer. I'm like, this feels good. Prayed on it. My family have no idea. They like we all looking like this. Like truthfully, had no idea what we were doing. Really no guidance, but that's where I'm trying to be better at now, making sure
Right.
those players don't feel as lost as I did or as confused or like the questions to ask and what to look for because I had no idea. So it was against 3 agencies again, kind of like recruiting all over again. It felt really good. Everybody wants you. Everybody want to throw money at you. It felt good. Had a bunch of Zoom calls with a bunch of agencies, and I just selected one that felt right at the time. It ended up not working out. He was a man. It was his first year. He was new, but I'll tell you this detail. 5 out of the 6 of us got drafted. I was the only one that did not get drafted out of his rookie class. So he knows what he's doing. This man has connections. He's charismatic. He knows his stuff. He knew people. That's evident. But it just didn't work out for me. And so I had a group chat. So the day of the draft, I was all dressed up. I had a bunch of interviews leading up, local interviews in Bloomington leading up to the draft. So like I have
Mhm.
one with the Big E's, the Pantograph, all these people. And I was really excited. I was still working out, even though with COVID, with no gym. Me and my friend at the time, we were working out every day. He like, you got to get up, got to go, 3-mile runs. 3-mile runs, we try to get the time between 25 minutes and 27 minutes. You divide that by 3, we're running these mile paces at 7 minutes, right? We trying to get fit, doing push-ups, every hour. Let's crank out, try to do 100 push-ups at every top of the hour, 100 squats, just trying to find ways just to stay fit with no gym
Right.
and during times of our stay-at-home order. And once I did get my agent, Atlanta Dream still calling me. I had my first interview with the Connecticut Sun on a Zoom. My parents are on that side. I'm on this side. It's 2 assistants on the screen, and I'm just sitting there like this. Like I didn't know what they were gonna ask me because obviously they couldn't watch me play for NCAA tournament. So they were
Right.
asking me questions like, what are your strengths? what are your weaknesses? What do you think you can grow on? What do you think you can bring to the league? Who's your favorite NBA players right now? WNBA players, NBA players. Do you know anything about what you want your brand to be like once you get to this league? And I'm like, what do I want my brand to be? Like questions I didn't even think about. I was thinking about the national tournament. That's all I had focused on. And once that would have
Right.
finished, then I had time to turn my wheels to think about other things. But it happened so fast, and they wanted us really fast. The draft was like 2 weeks later. Like it happened. They
Right.
take us straight from college and put us in this league. Like you really have no time to rest. So I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't think I was prepared. I don't think my answers were
Mm,
very good. I don't know if that has something to do with it. Nowadays people are like trained with their interviews. Everybody
right.
use Chat GBT now, but like that wasn't a thing. Everything was off the dome with you. Either you're ready and you're not. And even my parents was like, I wish you would have answered that differently. But at the end of the day, it still was good and they were still calling me. I got this text from a coach in Fever, like, hey, is this Chante? And I'm like, yes. I'm on the phone, like, yes. And they're like, hey, we've been trying to get in contact with you all week. So I call my agent and I'm like, hey, what's up with this? Like they said they've been trying to get in contact with me, but you're my representative. Why don't you know about this? Like this is important to me. And
Right.
that's when I start to notice that okay, maybe you got too much on your hands. Like you do have these big time players. I know these other big time players because they're some of the best in the nation. I was All American, honorable mention, but I know these players. So I'm texting the other players in my agency, like, hey, how is he working for you? How fast is he moving with you? And they're like, oh, he talks to me every day. And I'm like, okay, this man doesn't talk to me every day. So that's like when the light bulb and the red flags starting to appear more and more. But I'm like, okay, God, but like I prayed about this. Like Lord, I trust you. Like it's gonna work out. So day of, got all prettied. I had, I remember like it yesterday. I had my little corset on. My person I was with at the time was there. When we had our family on Zoom, like 21 people from my church and family was on Zoom, sitting over here. The camera of the news was right here. And then my agent was on the phone. My players from DePaul was on a group chat, my phone open, and my dad cleared off everything and like, okay, sit here, we're gonna record everything. Like that's what the news asked us to do. So I was sitting there and I'm like, this is so cool. And I'm just smiling the whole time. And they start the draft show. I'm just sitting there on my couch by myself, my parents sitting behind me. The draft show is going on. And I'm like, okay, everybody who's getting drafted, they're in a group chat. So I'm like, texting congratulations, way to go. It's gonna work out. So fun, whatever. Round after round going. It's only 3 rounds, you don't got that much
Right.
time. It's gonna go like this. So
Right.
third round comes and it's the last 4 spots. And I'm like, okay, God, like, I trust you. This gonna work out. I'm talking about, I feel good. I still feel good. I don't care. I feel good. And then the last 4, they all flipped them at the same time. So they were going one by one. The last 4, they flipped them at the same time. Oh, so a detail on the right side of the screen, it's saying all the people who could be potentially picked. My name was up there. I'm like, oh, I didn't have my phone, but I'm like, oh, I'm on TV. Like, this is crazy. My name is up there on a potential draft pick. Like, this feels good. I'm just okay. Like, I know my name will pop up on these teams, and it's like LA Sparks, Connecticut Sun, Storm, whatever. And it revealed itself, and I'm looking real fast. Like, my eyes are looking real fast, and I still see my name on this side, and I'm like, mm. And then I, text the rest of the girls, congratulations. And then, the commentators were like, hey, and that's the end of the 2020 draft show. And then, next will be your local news and showing the weather. And then that was it. And I just sat there. And let me say the detail before the draft show started. I was in the bathroom making sure I looked good, whatever. I just pray one more time. I'm like, Lord, I want you to do your will. I know what I prepare for. I know what I work hard for all my life. I said, however, if it is your will that I don't get drafted, I just want peace over it. I just want peace. I don't want no big cry. I don't want nothing. I just want to be at peace. Like help me through my process. And so when it happened, I felt nothing. I didn't feel nothing. I thought I was gonna be sad. I thought I was gonna like really bawl my eyes out. Nothing. Like it was like a sense of peace. It was like so calm and like it was so a little awkward because my family's over here, the news, I'm on the phone with my agent, and all I hear him say is, I gotta call you back because it was like very awkward. So I just text my group chat, obviously, like DePaul, what do they say? And so they just like, keep your head up, Shantae. Everybody give you the sympathy, keep your head up. It's everything gonna be okay. And I'm like, me, I don't really want to hear that. You know what I mean? So then my mind started going back to like, did I do enough?
Right.
Like I was very strict, the way I ate, the way I slept, the way I
Hmm.
work hard. I'm like, ain't nobody working harder than me. Or so I thought. Nobody's taking time to like do rehab like me, or so I thought. Or like just the time and dedication like that. I was like, Lord, this ain't a part of the plan, is it? Like, I'm being punked right now. Like this is a dream. So at the end, I love my family. the person I was with, I love him so much. They came out and they threw a bunch of confetti on me. They were like, "You still got so much to celebrate." So it's like a bunch of confetti just falling on me. My mom throwing confetti. They just throwing confetti, and I'm just looking like this is the Stonewalls. Like this is what my family is about. Like good,
Right.
bad. Otherwise, like celebrate yourself.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love
So
that for you.
my
That's
family are great. My family's so great, and they were like, you know what, training camp is an option, right? And I'm like, you right, hell yeah, training camp
yeah.
is an option. So they start calling me. I'm like, cool, I still got a chance. Route might be a little different, but okay, I'm not a draft pick, but I can be I can be a training camp. So I got my training camps: Atlanta Dream, Chicago Sky, and the Fever. I'm like, cool, the same teams, they're consistent. And my dad was like, yeah, like you didn't like. They were like, are you gonna cry? I'm like, no, like it's okay. So 2 days later, they called everybody and they're like, the bubble, they're making a bubble for the men's team, but they're not making a bubble for the women's. So then it was like, okay, the league's not going to be a thing. So that's when I was like, okay, now what does this mean for me? Like, how do I go overseas when this man is obviously not working for me? I don't know if he wants to work for me. So I ended up
Mm.
firing him. I just terminated the contract, and yeah, that was that. And that was the first time after those 3 days. On the third day, it was like the middle of the night. It was like 3 a.m. I'm like bawling, like my heart out my chest. Like I didn't cry that hard in my whole life. And I thought I cried hard when they told me the results of my ACL tear, right? I think my dad cried the hardest when I found out I tore my ACL. My dad on the ground crying his eyes out. He was like, "Oh my goodness, what does this mean? You work so hard." So my dad cried hard when I tore my ACL. My mom gonna cry through whatever. And I think my biggest cry was when I didn't get drafted. But it was 3 days later. So I think,
Mm.
but I'm like, okay, God, thank you. Cause I asked to be numb. I said I want peace. But then I'm like, okay, God, like I don't want to not feel. And then like
Right.
immediately, like 3 a.m. And then like my mom comes in. I didn't know she could hear me, but she's like, you were boo-hooing. She comes in, she sits on the bed with me and we just cry together. She just holds me. It's like, you know what this means, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have to work 3 times harder. That's all that means. Though that means it's over with. That you might get it next year,
Right.
2 years from now. You just gotta work a little bit harder. But you're built for this. This is your
Right.
story. You're the author of your story. Like kind of like y'all talk about resilience. This is what resilience is about. Like people are watching you. People are watching how you respond. So make
Mm-hmm.
sure you respond in a way that you feel like you're proud of. And just because your story didn't, you still glorify God for the things that He's giving you. So come on, get out of
Right.
bed. So my dad's like, you don't have to. My dad is like, now he's becoming a coddler, right? You don't got to touch the basketball if you don't want to. You don't have to talk sports. You don't have to talk about nothing. And I'm like, my mom was just like, you gonna run today? You gonna work out today? And I was like, mm-mm. Like I think I was down bad for like 3 months. I didn't touch the ball.
Wow.
I didn't like. I didn't want to talk about it. Like for maybe 2 years, I couldn't. Like this is my first time crying over the draft, and since 2020, because I can tell my story without crying. I'd be like, it is what it
Right.
is. But the first 2 years, when the draft came on, 2020 draft came on, and I was seeing who was getting drafted. Oh, I'm talking about hurt, sad. I wasn't happy for nobody. We all get into that pride and ego. Like I
Yes.
didn't want to clap. I didn't want to clap for them. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, like it can look different.
Yeah.
It can
Right.
look different. And then, like my dad said, like we're not about to sit up here and say you didn't get defensive player of the year. You didn't. He said, think about this. They do the percentages. Only this amount of percentages goes to college. This percentage go pro, and then this percentage go to the WNBA.
Right.
He said, you were in the zero, like you were being considered. Your name was on the screen. You had an agent. These people were in your gym. How many people can say that?
That's
He's like,
true.
you have nothing to feel down about. Like, I understand, you didn't get that draft pick title, but he's like, you have nothing to be sad about. You have nothing to, really cry and just be sad like that I was a failure or something. He was like, no. And then now get your ass overseas and you go show them why you should have been drafted. And
Right.
you have to overseas, still leading in steals, you know, shooting percentage, points per game, rebounds per game. So like it all worked out. And at the end of the day, I told myself, now that I'm a coach, if I can get a player to get in the WNBA, I will feel fulfilled. If I can one day
Right.
coach there, even if it's for a year, like the league keeps expanding, I'm so happy for the league. I'm so happy for the players that they get more opportunities. Because if I was one of the four names and there was only a 111 spots that I can go for, if those same opportunities were in 2020, I'd be on a team. You know what I mean? So, but that's just not the way it paved out. And so, like I said, I know somebody's like watching the story and being like, dang, like she handled that well.
Yeah.
She handled it well. And that's all I can be happy about. But that was my draft story. First time crying about it in years. Like, I had to really think about it. Like, that was such a sad time, but I was down bad. I can't say I wasn't. I was very
Yeah.
sad. But then one day, like, the person I was with, he was like, you got to get up. This ain't you.
Right.
Let's go. Let's go. So like I said, you need your village. On times I didn't want to go to the gym. He's like,
Right.
I'm talking about pulling my hand. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. And then he's like, okay, your time, you didn't hit your time. We got to start hitting our times because you never know. You don't know. They say it's over with, but you don't know what kind of things the people, the big time people really trying to make shake for the W. And if
Right.
not this year, the next year, you're gonna be ready. So even in France, did you work out today? He called me. Did you work out today? Because we're not doing it for France. We're doing it for the W. So
Right.
you need good people in your life that see your vision through and that will support you on your good days and bad days because bad days are gonna come no matter what you do. When you're chasing a
Right.
dream, bad days gonna come.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
All right. That's amazing. That's amazing. So you feel like because of all of that, that kind of helps you ha- help navigate the world of coaching, right? So you've got all this experience mentally, emotionally, and even physically. You've kind of been through the ups and downs and everything that it takes to come back on the other side.
Mm.
What is your advice to the players at the JUCO level who have the same professional dreams?
Hey, I say your work ethic is gonna set you apart, and you got to be disciplined. They have the saying motivation versus discipline. Motivation is it's based on your feelings sometimes. Do I feel like doing it? Being disciplined, even if you don't feel like doing it, you're gonna do it.
Right,
Even if your body hurt, you're gonna do it. Even when you see everybody's doing this, you're gonna do this anyway. So I really instill in my players like, hey, your work ethic. Everybody say work hard. But to have a work ethic is different. Everybody can work
yeah,
hard, and some days you don't work hard. But when you have a good and healthy work ethic, you'll take that wherever you go. And it's not just basketball. It'll be off court. It'll be in your relationships. It's how you show up every day, which also goes back to discipline. So I tell my players, stay disciplined. And the world is yours if you stay disciplined. Commit yourself to something. Say, they tell me, I want to do this, I want to do that. All right, I'm here to reinforce and be accountability partner to
right,
make sure you stay disciplined. And that's hard. So I tell them make many goals. Like, hey, it takes 21 days to form a habit. You got to unlearn some things and relearn new things.
right.
So, they are very receptive. And I was a little nervous because I am 28. And even in my graduate assistantship down at Mizzou, like, they still respect me. And people to this day tell me, like, wow, with a resume like yours, why'd you go? You could have went to straight D1. Apparently I couldn't because the 3 interviews I had, they told me I was unqualified. So, that's why, that's another reason why I'm here. But nevertheless, I definitely feel like I was meant to be here. And also in my
Mhm.
interview process, I told him, I'm like, this is one and done for me. Like I know I can go bigger, go better. With all the experience I got at the success, not just experience, but like I was successful with my
Right,
experiences. I was like, I don't really feel like I need to be here, but God was telling me you need to be here. So when I prayed about it, I said, man, this coach, he keep calling me every 3 days, and everybody else is rejecting me, and this man is calling me every day. We talk about go where you're valued. Go
right.
where you're valued. And just don't go where people tolerate you. Be like, oh, I guess. I mean, I guess, but you won't have a voice here. Go where I've been more valued here than I've ever felt value in my life. And when I
Wow.
took a step away from basketball, yeah, truth be to God, when I took a step away from basketball, I said, okay, Lord, like I trust you. So the reason why I stopped playing, one of the reasons was, a little bit inconsistent with the money wise.
Mhm.
And I did take 2 years off. And even that's a testimony on its own. I take 2 years off to focus on other things, and I got my master's, which was all a part of the plan. Didn't know it was going to come at the age of 24 to 26, but I knew I was always going to get my master's. That was always a part of the goal in my life. But I thought I was going to continue to play, so I was like 30, 35. Make this a long 10-year kind of thing, but it wasn't. So when I took a step away to focus on my education and went back, people don't go 2 years and still have a reputation. And actually, in my interview with the Germany team, he said, you don't have any film? Nothing. And I said, nothing. He said, your film at DePaul was good enough that we trust. If you're anything like that, you'll be fine.
Wow.
Who says that? I was in that interview. Like, I'm telling you, God be in the details. He is in every detail in my life. He showed up in ways that I didn't think so. And even when I got to Germany, sometimes I just pray that I went back overseas. I didn't pray to be the star player. I didn't play to, potentially before I got injured, to get player of that league. I didn't play for it. I just said I want to go back. My heart still pumps for basketball. So the fact
Right.
that I was in a good place, they loved me. Even when I got injured, they still paid for everything. They let me stay out there. They let me rehab out there. They didn't like start treating me differently or anything like that. Like they still showed up and had love for me. They still let me be a leader. I didn't miss any practices. They still let me use all their facilities. Some people get treated
Hmm.
like trash. Like overseas, yeah,
Hmm.
some people get treated like trash. Once you are not useful to them,
Right.
people will switch up on you. So my program, we had some waves, but they never switched up on me to the point where they just like, just go home. They
Right.
understood my impact. That's what that word impact I'm very big on. When I go to whether it's a job, right? Because I work for Project Oz in Bloomington. I work for the Triage Center, which was a part of the prison in McLean County on the McLean County Jail. I've been in a lot of places. I've been a server at Antoine Agave in Bloomington. And I just said, hey, wherever I do, I want to impact. I don't care what I do. Server, working with kids, players, pros, or impact. So when I leave, they'll be like, well, we used to have a player, Chante, like she now that she's gone, it's so different. Like we miss when she
Right.
was here. So even like when I got a call this city, they're like, I got, my old teammates in Germany, they're like, it's so different. Gyms are quiet. There's no leadership. There's this, there's that. There's not this or there is that. And they're like, we miss you. So even here, the year at the end of my meeting, in my year meeting with my coach, before he asked me like, "Hey, we want you to come back," he said, "You've been so impactful. You brought the competitive nature back to our program. I was able to help bring our team our first state championship under my head coach, what hasn't been done since 2018. So we talk about impact, we talk about championship,
Right.
like approach, mindset, and then culture. Like I understand one thing I always pray about wherever I go, Lord, let me impact. And at the end of the
Yeah.
day, when somebody's like, who or how are you doing this? They know like, man, God's been the power forefront of my life. Like he's the one telling me to do these things. When I left, I said, I just want to be obedient. I'm tired of doing things my way. I didn't get drafted. I like was, like in rebellious mode, trying to do things
Yeah.
my way. And even when going back overseas, even though that's what I thought I wanted, God let me go back overseas. And I was also injured at the same time. So it's like, I don't know, was I was really supposed to go there? And I came home and it led me here. And like I said, coming to Florida, despite JUCO pay, those who understand JUCO pay, it's not the greatest. Um, didn't come here for the pay. Came here for the experience. Came here to impact, and that's all I asked for. I said I want to.
Right.
If I need experience, I need experience. This coach allows me to be authentically myself. He doesn't hold me back. I'm an acquired taste. I'm an acquired coach. You gonna love me. You gonna hate me. Ain't no in between. And even the ones that start off by saying, "Oh, I hate you," at the end of the year, they like, "Wow, I needed you. You're the
Right.
coach I needed." You might not be always be the coach you want at first glance, first
Right.
week of practice when it's hell week, but by the end of the season, we got medals around our neck. They're like, "Wow, you're just what I needed." And in
Hmm.
all fashions, as a woman, as a leader, as a black woman leading you,
Right.
as that sister mentor, as that friend, family away from family. And on our team right now, we have 7 international players. So now I got the international connect. I know what it's like to be far away from family. I know how hard it is to show up every day. You missing birthdays, funerals, weddings, whatever, and you still got to show up because you got a dream to chase. So
Right.
I'm so blessed to be in this space to coach who I coach and who I coach for. I love my head coach. I love the
Yeah.
fact that he's let me do pregame speeches, run multiple scouts, the big time scouts. Not no team we gonna be behind it, but like, to go into playoffs and I got the most important scouts. And when he, just not feeling his best to just step in and just he trusts me enough to run a practice. Trust me
Right.
enough that the words that I'm saying, they're gonna make sense. They're not gonna lead them astray, but it's actually gonna help and benefit our players to have one-on-one conversations about behavioral problems or attitude problems and how to grow
Right.
up. He trusts my words. So it's been I've grown so much here. And again, I don't know what I'm doing. I never really coached before. I just know my experience. I know how they have shaped me, and and I know how to get people to hit their goals, at least
Right.
assist them hit their goals, and that's important to being a coach. And so, people ask me all the time, "Why do you coach?" And I said, "It's time to pay it forward." I've done what I need to do. I've literally checked off so many goals on my list, except one, getting drafted. Other than that, I feel like I need to set some new goals. Like I've hit almost every single goal that I've ever wanted
Yeah.
for myself in life. So now it's time to pay it forward and to help them check off the goals that they want to do.
Right. Do you feel like it was hard to go from like doing drills to then teaching drills? Was it an easy transformation from being on the court to coaching, or
So
did it come easy?
I would say the teaching part, because sometimes, like, my head coach, I told him, I said, I'm here for three things. I'm here to get the experience I need. So you got to mentor me. I'm gonna get your players to go Division 1 high, not no low. We go P4 around here. And then also I want to win a
Okay.
state champion. I want to win championships for you. I've been able to do all three so far. Everything I said I was gonna do, I have done. And he said, but one thing you do, damn, you talk fast. So he was like, you got to learn how to teach, and not everybody can keep up with how fast your brain works as a professional basketball player with
Yeah.
all the experience and all the, what master in school has taught me. Use smaller words, understand how to give to this kind of population,
Yeah.
this kind of community. You may be a little, 10 steps ahead of them. So it's like, remember, they are 18 to 24 in players. Like, they don't know everything that you know. So you have to sometimes, not in an insulting way, but you have to teach them, meet them where they are at.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Meet them where they're at. And we might have to simplify things. We don't say dumb it down. Our players are not dumb, but
Right.
simplify things so that they can
Yeah.
understand it. And maybe talking to them isn't a thing. So I still got it now. I'll go out there, lace my shoes up, and physically show them, or we watch film on it. So getting
Right.
to the piece that, like, I thought being a player, you have to pay attention to to the details. As a coach, you want to be a good coach, you want to have longevity in this career, you got to pay attention to the details. So I think
Times a
just this
hundred.
year
Right.
has times 1,000, times 10,000. So just now, and that's as a JUCO. So I can only imagine what the higher
Right.
levels gotta do. But yeah, he's just like, just slow it down. And I'm like, okay, that's where I'm learning. Like, the way I picked up on things was so fast. And hey, player to player advice, former player to a player, you want to put yourself ahead, learn things faster,
Right.
retain things faster, retain more, stay 10 steps ahead of everybody. But yeah, so I think the transition wasn't terribly hard. And again, you got to remember, I did have a GA experience.
Right.
So
Right.
even though it wasn't coaching, I didn't have like my own voice there. I was an assistants. Now that I get to do it by myself, it's just like, from everything that I learned, it's time to apply it, and it's
Yeah.
time to use it and execute it. So that's what I'll
Yeah.
say. It wasn't too hard of an adjustment. And I feel like where I'm at, like, this is my foundation. If it's only up from
Yeah.
here, then it looks promising.
I love that.
So
So
Deb, I want to ask a question. She can't hear me, I guess, but I want to ask her what's her goal is to be a head
I'm so
coach.
sad I can't hear her.
I
it's
know.
okay. I'm gonna repeat it. It's okay.
This all I want to know is her goal is to be a head coach. That's what she's going towards.
She wants to, Coach Oni is asking if your goal is to be a head coach. Is that where you're looking to go from here at some
When it's
point?
all Yeah, when it's all said and done, and I mean, in a very 10-year goal, and it
Okay.
may happen before that. Yes, I will
Mhm.
be a head coach, and that's something else I told my boss. I said, don't mentor me to be just a JUCO assistant. That's not the
Right.
goal
Right,
here. The goal
right,
is to be at the highest level. If I'm going to compete on the court, I'm going to
right,
compete at the highest level academically to get Scholar Athlete of the Year, right? We're going to compete to be one of the best coaches. And I understand, like, hey, these coaches are getting older, okay? The Don Staley's, the Kim Mulkeys, the Gino
Right.
Auriama. I want to be in that kind of talk. If I'm gonna be
Yeah.
completely honest with y'all, first time sharing that goal, I want to be in that kind of big dog kind of talk.
right,
The
right.
legends, that's to kind of bring back. See, like, I graduated 2020. So I'm one of the last people, the coaches that didn't grow up with NIL. So
Right.
understand, 5, 10 years from now, the coaches that will coach these younger kids is from the NIL generation, right?
Right.
Hmm.
Or the era, NIL era, that came from money, money, money. And I'm still a part of the era that came from love of the game, wanting to make something for myself and my family, pay it for my kids. Education was very important, right? And then also when championships, wanting to stick in one space because you loved your program, you love what it represented, you wanted to coach, you wanted to play for your coach to see your coach succeed.
Right.
That was the focus, not money. So that's why I feel like will set myself apart a while, why I may be with some of the greats long term, and why I do want to be a head coach, because we got to bring that culture back. We got to
Right.
bring that kind of mentality back to these kids. And even now, some of the prospects that I'm recruiting, I'm like, JUCO. I love the fact that I still coach JUCO. They don't do it for the money. They do it because they just want one scholarship, and that's how they show
Yeah.
up every day in the gym. They work hard for just one. And to think that I used to work hard to get more than 31, All these, they hungry down here. They're very hungry just to get one, just to get a call back, just to get
Mm,
interest. So I love why I started down here, and the beauty of, as I may sign one day under an agency, now everybody got an agent, right? Even as coaches,
right.
we have agents, right?
Mhm.
So, there's small talk that I may have an agent soon, but the fact that an agent is looking at me now and said, no, you're gonna be something. I want to represent you now. This is my first year coaching. I just finished my first season, and he said, the person that, wants to sign me to an agency, he mentioned, he's like, the fact that you're willing to go back JUCO when you really don't have to, the fact that you still love to grind and you're coaching kids that also love to grind. He was like, oh, you gonna be fine. Because you know what it takes to grind, and not everybody
Right.
likes to grind. And even in my Instagram caption and on my coach's page, it says, fall in love with the grind. And that's one
Mm,
thing from when I was 5 years old that my parents instilled in me to even now. Like, I've taken that with me my whole life. Your work ethic is important, the way you grind. On the hard days, on the easy days. It ain't no easy days. When you grind, every day should be tiring. Every day should be exhausting. But you start to find the fun in it once you see
right.
what you could get, what you can reach. And I always tell
Yeah.
people, I said, there wasn't just one person that I idolized, right? There was no like, I want to be like Beyonce. I want to be like Michael Jordan. Like, I never had that moment. But what I did have is, what don't you want to be like? I tell people that you have things that you don't want to be like. I don't want to just leave Bloomington and not make a big name. Right. I got a
Yeah.
lot of tattoos, but I got 309 tattooed on my hand. And somebody said, why would you ever get that? I said, it made me everything that I am. Why wouldn't I get that?
Yeah.
Y'all might not like Bloomington, but it was safe. It was quiet. It had at least a gym that helped me out.
Yeah.
They if I ever needed a ball, lay in the front. She always gave me a ball. Like, they poured into me. And then also it was like, you got to be proud of where you're from, no matter what's going on.
Yeah.
So when it's all said and done, I'll be a head coach at the highest level, winning championships for
Yes.
my highest level school. I know that. I'm saying it now. When I look
You
back
hear
at
it
it,
here first.
Sunday,
Okay.
right? Sunday,
Right.
May 3rd
Yes.
at 3:07 afternoon, I'm gonna be
Yes.
smiling at this interview, like, dang, I made that happen.
Yeah.
You gotta speak that life into it.
Right.
That's exactly right. Right here, right now, she said it, and that's what it's gonna be. Period.
I got one
Um.
more question. I got one more
Okay.
question. Uh, when you're recruiting players, what kind of player are you trying to recruit? What are you looking for with players?
She said, when you're recruiting players, what kind of players are you trying to recruit? What are you looking for in players?
So we have like pillars, and they have pillars
Hmm.
at the ball. They need to be ultra competitive, and not just on the court, but off the court in life. Where's your drive? What gets you up in the morning? How bad do you really want it? Everybody said they want a dream, but like, are you pursuing it in every capacity, not just physically, but mentally? Are you really trying to study the game? Are you asking questions about the game? Are you coachable? Okay, these kids are starting to get less and less coachable. Can you receive information and not
Right.
have to snap your neck or be like, I love a coach that say, coach get feedback and they say, okay, coach, got it, coach. Yes, coach. Not, but I wasn't. But no, I wasn't. No, we don't like those. We stay away from kids like that. Okay. We stay away from players like that, not kids, players like that. So they got to be competitive. They got to be defensive like minded. They do. Offense is cool. I can teach you how to play offense. Now, I can't always teach you how to play defense. You either got that dog
Right.
in you or you don't. So just, falling in love with defense, doing the dirty work, right? Do you have any type of toughness? They call it strength up the middle, head, heart, and guts, right? Head, heart, and guts, strength up the middle. Do you have that? And then last thing that I always look for is the players that will stand out in big moments. Can you stand out in a big moment? When it's time to hit that game winning free throw, are you making that game winning free throw? Are you clutch or are you not? When it's time to get that big time rebound, are you willing to jump out the gym? Are you willing to hold your box out to go get it? If there's a loose ball and it's on the line, if that jump ball is going to determine whether you lose or win a game, are you too good to get on the floor, or are you the first one on the floor? Are you willing to take that game winning charge? Right? Are you risky, right? Is there a steal that you could get? Because it's really gonna help out your team. We look for the complete teammate as well. It ain't
Yeah.
always about you. Because at the end of the day, if you get MVP or my head coach gets coach of the year, think about who he did it with, right? So we always
Yeah.
say here, when a player gets All-American, you got to thank your teammates because you couldn't have got it by yourself. A head coach gets, coach of the year, got to thank your assistants, right? So we're very big on that. And so just seeing the interactions between, your parent, I mean, with your players and the head coach, what that interaction is like. Are they receptive? Are they the ultimate teammate, right? Are you a great teammate? And then last thing, because this is JUCO, this is JUCO. What are your parents like? Because nobody woke up. Let me tell you this. Nobody woke up, right? And said, Lord, when I grow up, I want to be a JUCO All-American. Nobody said nothing like that. Everybody, I want to go pro. I want to go D1. That's what these, players' dreams are. So whatever way that led you to JUCO, we know that 99% of the time you didn't really want to be here. Okay. But while you're here, can we make the most of it?
Right.
Can we figure out why you're here in the first place, right? I like to call it this. Don't want to offend anybody, but I like to call it the rehab center, right? In a funny, joking way. It's rehab center. You're to come here, something is not how you want it to be. You're trying to get rid of some things that you maybe kept doing that you shouldn't have been doing. And we are unlearning it to relearn it. We give you
Yeah.
exercises and nuggets you can take with so that you don't have to come back here, so that you're rehab. You leave better than what we found you. And you take these lessons for the rest of your life. I call it a rehab center, but it's in a good way, in a funny way, in a comical way, but also like, there are some things that y'all don't have that y'all need, and some things that you guys
Right.
need to unlearn and relearn so that you guys are better on when you guys do go back and I'll take anybody from any level. D2, D1. We have D1 players. We got a couple this year. We'll take the foreigners, the
Right.
national team members. We take everybody. But this JUCO, because it's not your typical JUCO, right? We're a top 25, and I'm just going to just brag about us a little bit. We're a
Go
top 10
ahead.
JUCO, right? We're a
Hmm.
top 10 JUCO, right? Every year we're national contenders. So we're not just taking anybody. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like, you got to know your level and be real with yourself. Some of these kids ain't
Yeah.
real with themselves. Like, for example, I'll tell you this example. You averaged 1 point last year saying, I don't want to go JUCO, but you're asking for 40K. What did you do to earn 40K from a Division 1
Mm.
school? Let's just be real now.
I
And it's
mean,
okay. And it's okay. JUCO people, every JUCO has a stigma, but your best JUCOs is Florida, Texas, Kansas. You want to go to high level where a lot of Division 1 players come back and compete. Like, even
yeah.
in our conference, I can go back and look at the stats later, but there had to be at least 10 Division 1 players in our conference. And it's only 5 teams here. So every night, you're not just going against JUCO high school players. You're going
Right.
against Division 1 players. So at that point, it's damn near like a mid-major. So when I do think about Gulf Coast and think about how such a cool and unique place it is, we're in a good position. And
Hmm.
like my head coach says, how many people of your caliber came down to this level? The stuff that you're teaching them, they might not even taught this at a mid-major. How many mid-major has former professional players, former
Yeah.
USA tryout participants, won 3 championships? How many coaching staffs have championship players on their team at all that were former players? So we said, they are very, very blessed to have you here. And the fact that you stay for another year is like very telling. And I tell people, like, I don't just do it for the players, but it is in a way. I still don't know everything.
Right.
So I have a coach that's letting me be all that I am. So it's not a fluke. So people don't think, oh, well, maybe it was just the players or maybe you whatever. We're here to do it again, to show y'all that this is not a fluke. This is who I am. And now I get to win a state championship, right? Manifesting it. We'll go back to back,
Hmm.
which has never that has never been done before. At Gulf Coast, back to back state championships, never been done.
Okay.
We're trying to do things that never been done before. Trying to do things that my head coach has never got done before. And then some of our players have never done before, and then do it a second time to let you know that it's not just the players. It's a combination of the player, the coaches, the campus, the president, the people, this community, that this is actually who we are. And we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this year in and year out and show you guys like what Gold Coast is about. And it's not a fluke.
Yeah.
And when it's time for me to move, I'll move. When God say move, I'll move. But the goal is 2 years. So we'll see next year where I land. So we're gonna make this year special. Kind of like the Jugo kids and me. If you only got
Yeah.
1 year, you got 2 years, every single day got to be a
Every
grind because we're
every
here
day.
for our
Yeah.
present. So if I expect that from my players, they know I'm gonna do it too. That's another thing. Us coaches can't be hypocritical. We can't ask our players for high energy and you come in the gym like this. You know what I mean? You expect high
Yeah.
energy from your players. It's okay to lead by example because you gotta think about it. JUCO only has freshmen and sophomores. They don't know how to lead.
Right.
They don't have juniors and seniors or graduate transfers to lean on. So
Right.
you have to teach them what it's like to be a leader, and that take hard work. So if you're not ready to teach, this might not be the level for you. If you don't have patience,
Mhm.
might not be
Right.
the level of coach for you. And then again, players, be ready. At least at my JUCO, we treat it like a Division 1 because we know where you're going. So we're
Right,
never going to treat it like a JUCO because you're not going to stay JUCO. We preparing you for the P4s.
right.
A lot of them thrive to be in the SEC, right? So since I coached at the SEC, I know what SEC practice look like. I've had 2 years of that, and then also I was able to work the practices of the other teams that would come in, and I would sit there and look. I'll look just to see what they do and see how their coaches speak to them. So I know what they expect too. So when you get to Gulf Coast, that's how we're treating it. We're treating it like a Division 1 program, and you're being coached by a person not even a year out from being a professional player. So things are very structured, things are very disciplined. We're very big on accountability because we're not just trying to teach y'all how to be good people. I mean, good players, but good people. So that's what I would tell those players.
Okay. So I mentioned earlier in the beginning about your master's degree, which I find absolutely fascinating. And one of those type of people that for whatever reason I love school, and I'm contemplating going back and getting another master's at this
Me
point
too.
because I'm addicted to it. So, and I see, I'm like master in public, and I'm master's in positive coaching and athletic leadership from Missouri, which just sounds amazing to me. I actually have a bachelor's in psychology, and me and Coach Ani go back and forth all the time on here because I always lean heavily into the psychology side
Hmm.
of basketball, and I think because I had to watch my daughter suffer through an ACL tear and how that affected her mentally and emotionally. And I
Hmm.
had to go sometimes from mommy mode into therapist mode to kind of help her through that process. So I understand kind of both sides of that coin. Now, mind you, I never played basketball. So
Hmm.
my love for the game came from uh, just loving basketball, being a Bulls growing up. I grew up in Champaign, so I'm a Bulls fan. I'm a Illinois fan. It's that love is where it comes from. Um, and then my daughter playing is where I fell in love with women's basketball completely because that was where the joy came, right?
Hmm.
So, how are you using that particular knowledge that you learned from that degree with your players? Like when you have to be tough on your players, how do you find the balance between the psychology part of it and the listen, I need you to go, you playing too much,
Hmm.
go handle your business.
Right. No, I love that. And actually, when I was in my, I guess, interview stage about being a GA, I asked, Coach P, Coach Robin Pinchton, who was the head coach at Mizzou at the time. I said, what can we major in? And she said it has to be an all online program, and it's the only program like this in the whole entire world. So
Wow.
the full title is um, a Master's of Educational Counseling and School Psychology with the emphasis of positive coaching, positive psychology and sports coaching. Positive coaching in sports. That's the long title, but of course you can't put that. So it got
Right,
shortened to positive coaching and athletic leadership. And I didn't know what it was really gonna be about. And I love school too. That's why I don't mind going back to get my PhD because I think power is knowledge is power, and not just
right,
get the education that's gonna set you apart, but what you do with the education, which is
right.
our profession. So I'm happy that I have another person that can agree. Like, yeah, I love school.
I,
I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd in a way. But yeah. So a lot of the different classes within this master's program was about like classes titled um, coaching an injured player, right?
mm,
There's literally a whole class about that. How do we approach them? How do we talk about them? What a player like that kind of thinks. And, we have different projects like, if you were ever injured, talk about that, have a presentation about, these different modules, different steps about how you would approach it. And it kind of gives you, helpful ways to how to handle that. And even me, I had a very very strict coach. He was a no nonsense. Like, he would look
right,
at your injury, he's like, are you really injured? And I'm over here like, that's the same way in my mind. I'm so wired to hearing that sometimes, like, you're not really injured, you can't push through, versus, okay, can I have balance? You know, a lot of the whole entire 2 years was about autonomy, making sure your players have autonomy. You know,
Right.
kind of give them pull. Tell them what your expectations are. You set the rules, and then if they have any questions about it or they feel like maybe it can be adjusted, kind of give your players that space to come to you, a safe space to communicate how they feel. And if it still doesn't work out, okay, tell them again who is the authoritative one, and then but also have a relationship with your players where they can come to you and talk about certain things, or if they are injured, you have a better trust with them. And coaching is all about relationships. You can get some of your most stubborn players to do what you want to do if they trust you. You can get
Hmm.
some of your best players to be more selfless if they trust you. So if you don't have good trust with your players, you don't have nothing. And that goes into recruiting too. Like,
Right.
players, be patient. Can you really trust this person? And I understand like these interactions are very short lived, but like, do you have a good instinct? Do you have good gut intuition, feelings about certain people and what they're saying? Do you feel like it's genuine? So that whole course was about adjusting to your players. Because if you don't, you have a very short lived career. You have to
Right.
adjust. Like you say, these players are different. You have to meet them where they're at without losing the fact that you still are the person in authority, right? You're the one telling them what they're doing, and you still have to coach them, and they still have to be allowed to be coached by you. But in the same breath, allow your player to be all that who they are, so they feel safe, and things like that. So I definitely feel like my master program has helped me and made me more equipped, more than I already am. Like I said, I was an injured player. I was a player who got a lot of hard coaching, a lot of tough love. So I knew that piece of it, right? I know how to give out tough love. I have a saying to my players, hey, I'm gonna coach you hard as hell. I don't just coach you hard. I coach you hard as hell. And I'm gonna
Right.
love you harder. I'm gonna love you harder. When we step out these 4 lines, I'm gonna be there for you, and I'm gonna show up in every capacity that I can show up. I'm gonna take off that coaching hat, and I'm gonna put on the mentor, I'm gonna put on the doctor, I'm gonna put on the listener, or whatever I need to be for you at that time. But while we're in these 4 lines, you gotta let me coach you. And there's different ways you can pull the best out of a player,
Right.
and how to talk to players, and et cetera, et cetera. So I am I'm so grateful that it worked. Like you said, I said God is in the details. Like He really is. Like that master could have been more fitting. And I went
Yeah.
into Gulf Coast. I mean, I went into Mizzou, wanted to be a clinical psychiatrist. So I said I already got my mind made up. And even going into that process, I've always cherished and really took school very seriously, right? So even in that program, the clinical psychologist program, psychiatric program at Mizzou, it was a very prestigious program. They only accepted 34 kids. So my head
Wow.
coach is like, look, it's good to know people. It's always good to be kind to the coaches that you have. Even though I didn't select Mizzou, she still showed up for me when I called about a job. She still showed up for me, and she still allowed me to be a GA. And when I told her, I said, yeah, the positive coaching is cool, but I really, really want to go to psychology route because my undergrad was a double major, psychology, sociology. So I said, I
Hmm.
really, really want to get into, psychiatrics, psychology, clinical psychology. And she said, okay, let me make something happen. Because when you're valued, they gonna make sure they do what they gotta do to get you
Right.
in there. So she called them, let me meet the president of that master's program. And
Wow.
he's like, or it was a master program that turned into a PhD program. So it was a 2 to 4 year thing. And he was like, listen, like basketball, if you really want to do this coaching stuff, you got to make a choice. You can't do both. Like they're both time consuming. They're both going to be like, very rigorous. And he said, you know, you wouldn't even need to apply. All you would have to do is write your statement. Your grades are soaring.
Mm.
You're gonna do fine in this program. You won't struggle in this program, even with taking 2 years off from coming from DePaul. My undergrad, he was like, "You'll be fine. Your grades are great." He was like, "I'm so shocked that you can't do both." But um, definitely the psychology thing was just fitting in the positive coaching aspect. And now with this degree, at the end of it, you do get certified. So I was certified in
Okay.
the state of Missouri to be a high school counselor, to be in like maybe a DCFS counselor or something of that nature.
Mhm.
I could have used that right away. Unfortunately, obviously, I came back to Illinois for a little bit, so I have to like retest and reclassify here in Illinois in whatever state I'm in. But I'm so happy that I was able to get that, and I learned so much about myself and better to know more about the kind of coach I wanted to be and show up for my players as.
Okay. So, how important is it for, in the world of NIL, in the world of, Chat GPT and all of that? How do you get the kids to focus not only on the court, but how do you motivate the current players to take their academics as seriously as you did?
Yeah, I always tell them the ball's gonna stop dribbling. I know as cliche as that sound, it's so true. And you want to be able to fall back on something that you actually care about, not something that just gets you by. So we really
Oh,
do ask our players, like, don't give us a BS answer. Truthfully, like when this is all said and done, what do you want to do?
right,
What do you want to be? And here at the JUCO level, you hear more times than not, I don't know. And so, something that I've been asking them to do, something that we had to do at DePaul, if you didn't know what you wanted to do, they literally had a class, not just an assessment, a class, a whole class of figuring out what you want to do as a freshman. It was part of our freshman seminar about figuring out what you wanted to be. And although here at Gulf Coast, we don't have a class just tailored to that,
right.
I do challenge my players, the ones that say, I don't know, coach, look, I just want to do a general studies. I'm like,
Mm,
I love general studies, but then I hate it at the same
right.
time because please specify. And then also when it's time for it to translate, you want to make sure
Yeah,
it translates to your next school, right? Transfer to the
right,
credits transfer to your next school. So we do mini assessments. And yes, they're time consuming, but it's like a Likert scale test of things that you do and
right.
don't like and just challenge
Hmm.
their thinking, challenge their thinking. Also, I tell them about my friends' occupations. I got a 911 dispatch. My dad's a police officer. My mom does insurance. Just giving them ideas because some jobs, some of these players never heard of. Like,
Right.
oh, we can be an astronaut. Like, yes, you can be a pilot, and these are the steps that you can take. Maybe you start
Yeah,
undergrad, but then they have flight school or police. They have to go to police academy. Like, some of these players don't even know the steps, or what it takes. So just being able to educate them and kind of broaden their thinking, challenge the way they
right,
think about certain things. Like, ball is cool. I'm even
right,
pushing them like, hey, overseas life is just as good as a W. Like, I'm so happy
right,
they're creating more opportunities, but that
right,
that that chance that you still get to go play pro here in the US is still very small. As much as it is growing,
right.
it's still a small percentage. So I tell them, like, hey, overseas is good. They have different levels. They have
Hmm.
division Euro League, which is the best league over there, right? They got League One, League Two, League Three, and they even have League Four. So I'm like, there's a place and a fit for everybody. You just have to know
Right,
about it. You have to get educated. You have to know people that if you don't know it, find somebody who does, and find maybe
right,
that person don't know it, but he knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that know it.
right,
So just really just challenging the way my players think, and then tell them like, hey, this semester for the first time in my coach's reign, they had the highest GPA in all the sports on campus. So again, we're not just trying to challenge our players to be better, but like first day of school, hey, walk to your classes. If you don't know where your classes are, we're not going to act like our foreign players know. You guys have buddies, walk.
right.
I will walk with you guys, like not just to hold their hand and handicap them, but sometimes they just don't know. So just being able to, take that coach hat off, put
Yeah,
campus tour hat guide on. We're gonna go walk the campus. If you guys have any questions, you guys need pencils, papers, notebooks,
right.
how to take notes, right? I know it sounds
Yeah.
corny. They don't even know how to take notes. That's not always taught in high school. That's not what always
Hmm.
taught in the household, right? Especially if your parents
Right.
only had a certain level of education. So yeah, if, I'll ask them like, let me see your notes for this class, and I'll look and I'll be like, all right, let's talk about how we can make these better. We never would try to talk down on them or make them feel like the way they did it was wrong. I'm here
Right.
to give you better tips of how to make it better, how to excel. I start using big words and they'll ask. I said, if I ever say something that you don't know, I know my coach say, simplify it. I'm like, or we just educate them, right?
Yeah.
We educate. So if you don't know one of my big words, ask me what it means, and we'll find
Yeah.
synonyms to help you. So then, next thing you know, one of my players used them big words, and I'm like, you are so funny. So, and we do encourage them. Like, Chat GPT is cool, but I say, don't be lazy. Do not be lazy. It's
Please
okay to read
don't
that
do
to
that.
read that
Yeah.
article to find the answer. Why did you have to type in that math equation into ChatGPT? Let's learn how to solve pi or solve for x.
Yeah.
Please learn it. So, I mean, I'm happy technology AI has come a long way, but we also want to make sure that they know how to problem solve. They come
Right.
and be good solution oriented. I'm very big on telling my players, hey, figure it out. You got to be solution oriented. You got to adapt
Yeah.
to certain things. You got to come up with ideas. And if that didn't work, what about this? If that didn't work, what about plan C? I don't want them to just give up easily here at JUCO, which they haven't. I mean, it's a JUCO. There ain't no way you can give up. We're gonna make sure you work
Right.
hard every day. But just
Right.
again, the resilience piece. Like sometimes they just don't know how. And before I help them out, I'm gonna throw you in the water. I ain't gonna let you drown, but you might go under for a couple seconds, but I'm gonna be right there. But making sure they know they, they kind of teach themselves how to swim. And that's exactly what Coach Bruno did. That's exactly how my parents raised me to be. So
Right.
taking that as a coach, like I'm very big on making sure they understand academics is important. And it's okay to be student athlete of the year. It's not lame, it's not corny, but it's actually like,
Right.
coaches are more impressed if you actually still do care about school, even in this, session of NIL and the
Mhm.
thousand ways you can cheat. Like for the
Right.
kids that still feel good about their best honor that they ever received is, academic awards. Some of my favorite awards were my academic awards because it's hard to be a student athlete. It's hard.
Yeah.
The student part is hard. So and they know that too. They're like, just as much as you thrived on the court, like, I still cared about community service. I still cared about my education.
Yeah.
And it's talk about, like I said, competing in all facets of your life, and then how it's just gonna really, it really is gonna translate whenever you do become a normal citizen in the world.
Okay. So let's jump into some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Hardest player you ever had to guard?
In college?
Period.
Okay. My brother is always gonna be a little difficult to guard. Just say bigger than me. But no, Brianna Stewart, we played them UConn at DePaul. She was so big. Her wingspan was so big. I remember the ball, it was a rebound. She didn't have to jump. She just went like this, and I jumped, and she just like grabbed it with one hand and brought the ball together. And I'm like, that is so embarrassing. Like she's really good. She was extremely fast and tall. I've never seen any competitor like her. And I'm only 6'1". Probably at that time I was like 140 pounds. I'm still 140 pounds now. So like, yeah, she was huge, but like an inspiration and very cool to watch. Any of the
Yeah.
Notre Dame players, they're talented. And I love to be around the best. You learn from the best by competing against the
Right.
best. So I never ducked any type of smoke, any type of challenges, but those UConn Notre Dame girls, by far, some of the more athletic players, more smart, skilled players. Those are
Yeah.
challenges. I gotta admit.
Yeah. Favorite arena besides McGrath Phillips?
I did like in the Big East, UConn men's arena was really nice when we got to go play there. But we also got to play, I take that back. We got to play in Madison Square Garden against St. John's.
Oh,
That was really cool.
wow.
That was really, really, really cool. And then lastly, I know I'm supposed to choose one, but Xavier, University of Xavier.
Okay.
I understand their program, I guess in the past have been down, but like that is a
Mhm.
very, very, very nice arena. It kind of reminds me of Wintrust before we
Okay.
had Wintrust. Xavier had a very, very nice arena as well.
Wow. Okay. What's the one song that gets you game ready as a coach?
I think it's the same song to get me ready as a player. I will forever, until I depart this earth, listen to Finito by Chief Keef. So if you don't know what that song is, just play it, somehow get it to play right now. I love Finito. I love Chief Keef. That was my go-to song. Track, basketball. He say, I'm a gorilla in a coop. Yeah, I'm a gorilla. I just
Okay.
think about it. I'm the ultimate competitor. That song get me in my zone every single time.
All right. So one last question. Who is the one person in basketball world that you still call when you need advice from in a tough coaching situation?
I'm going straight for Jasmine James. Jasmine James. I met her at University of Missouri. That was her first and second year at Mizzou, and we just bonded. We have a lot of things in common. Our relationships at the time were the same length. In the She played overseas for a long time. She got to actually play with Brittany Griner, which was really cool. And just being a black woman in this business, she knew more than I did and was older than me. And I don't have any sisters, so she just like really took me under her wing and like really just kind of gave me nuggets about how to survive in this very much desired profession. Everybody want to be a coach. Everybody think they can coach. Everybody want to be a coach. I mean, these players are making more money. These coaches are making more money, and sometimes the players making more money
Yeah.
than the coaches.
Yeah.
So it's a really good profession. It's a tough profession because it's constantly, coaches are being recycled. That's why they're looking for the young generation to step up so we can start taking their jobs and just be, do
Mhm.
better and grow the game more. But anytime I have any type of question, I mean, it can be something as small as like, what was that shooting drill we did in Mizzou for the guards? She'll sit there and write it down, or if she has a document, she'll email it to me, scan it to me, text it to me, or she'll get on the phone and be like, okay, remember, don't forget this detail. Teach it like this. Hey, if the
Right.
player is a little bit slower, remember that detail to slow it down, or move the cones like this, put this cone over here, or she'll tell me how to make the drill better. Like, I know we did
Yeah.
it like that in Mizzou, but here's a way that I feel like it could have been better. Anytime there's a job opening, she's sending it to me. She gonna send it to me every time. And then also another person who's like just been awesome, Coach Doty, who is a Bloomington, Illinois, big name, or at least he should be a big name. The Doty family. He. Anytime I need to talk as a male perspective for certain things, he's been on a lot of levels. He's been in the
Yeah.
coaching game for a long time. Same thing. I need a call. He needs I'm confused, any type of advice, or maybe he just want to call me to check to see how I'm doing on my first, am I surviving this coach life.
Right.
He's definitely been there for me, and so between those two, they're my go-to. But there's just so many people who just reach out and give me pieces of advice. And if anytime I have a question, another one, Evan Johnson, who was a GA when I was a GA. Now he is working at University of Wisconsin, but he started at University of Arkansas. He's been around SEC, he's been around the Big Ten, he's been in the Power Four. When I have questions about just that conference specifically, he's the guy that I go to. And I mean, the list goes on and on. Like, I mean, from
Yeah.
DePaul, my DePaul family, my teammates that are now coaches. Anytime I have a question, I need athletes, I need advice. I don't remember a Doug Bruno quote, and it just everybody. Like I said, it really does take a village. Just to make sure that that we thrive, and that we don't
Yeah.
feel like we're forgot about, or that we don't know. And that's my biggest thing throughout this whole entire thing. Work hard, and make sure you have a good support system. And if you don't,
Okay.
call me. I'm there for you. Whatever, we're athlete, just trying to be a better student. If
Yeah.
you got relationships you want to talk about, like, I just want to just know that I'm there. And even though I'm not in Bloomington anymore, like, that's why phone calls is a thing, social media is a
Yeah.
thing, and I know I'm extremely busy, and I might not get back to you on the first day, but I'm gonna get back to you. One thing I don't do, I don't leave any message unread, and no message not responded to. So
Are you currently out recruiting right now? Is that where, are you on recruiting
yeah.
trip?
I know. We're so happy. Today is a dead week. This is
Oh,
graduation week for a lot of the, yeah, we're taking a break this week. It's been rapid with the portal. It's been lethal with the portal. Everybody moving, grooving. We got our 8 sophomores placement. We trying to get
yeah.
8 more to come back in. So it's busy to say the least, but
At
I would say
8?
this is
Did you
8
say 8
sophomores.
sophomores? Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. 8
Okay.
sophomores are leaving. It's JUCO. It's a quick turnaround with
Woo.
these kids at
Yes.
JUCO. But our retention has been very good. So our 2 freshmen that were here last year, they're staying. They believe in what we're doing. They believe in our development, and the places that are sophomore. We just actually had a commit today. I don't know if it's public. She just texted me before this call. It was like, oh my God, Coach Stonewall. And I'm like, even me, I'm like, oh, and the money, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy to be. Hey, don't forget about me when you get big and famous. But no, she just
That's
texted me that she
awesome.
just signed to a school or committed. She had a graphic. She sent me the graphic, and I'm like, "Is that public information?" I said, "I ain't gonna say nothing about it." But so far, we got 4 out of our 5 starters. 3 of them are going to a P4. So we talking about, even though I'm a JUCO coach, am I really? Because the way my players going P4, I feel like a P4 coach.
Okay.
That's how I feel. I mean, they're ready. Y'all say they're ready. So am
Yes,
I not a
queen.
P4 coach? Okay, that's at least that's what I tell myself to keep motivated, even in my young
Yeah.
stages in my career. Um, but
And the fact
it's
that
an exciting time.
I mean, the JUCO route sometimes is the best route for certain people, certain kids. And the fact that you're able to be there and be that sort of mentor and, confidant and the person that pushes them and understands the process, that every journey is different. Everybody's route to wherever they're going is not going to look exactly the same. You're a testament of that sometimes the road takes you to the left when you thought it was going to the right, and that you can kind of pour that into them, that every no is not the end, right? Every obstacle is not the one that you can't get over or get past. So that's like what I took the most out of your story and your journey is that um, it can, I mean, the end of the road is never where you really think it's going to be.
Right.
I'm always think about when I ended up moving to Atlanta. I always said that I would never move here because everybody moves here, and I didn't want to do like everybody else does because I don't follow trends. I'm a trendsetter, not a trend follower. But it's
Yeah.
funny that when you speak that, sometimes you tell the God where you're going to go, and God is like, no,
Yeah.
this is where I need you to be because this is where. And so I feel like your journey has been filled with God kind of putting you where He felt was best for you. And
Yeah.
I think right now, where you're at is what's best for not only you, but also the kids that you're touching. You're
Yeah.
making a huge difference in the lives of these kids, and I commend you for that.
Thank you.
For coming back to the game. The game needed you. You needed to take
Oh,
a break. You took your break, and now you're back. So welcome back to the to the game. You came back and you won a championship.
I
Did,
did.
did
First year, I said, okay, God, we accomplished a lot. I'm scared. What
year
else? It's only
one?
going up from here, right?
Yeah. I mean, that is amazing. I'm just, it has been such a pleasure and honor and joy to talk to you today and just learn all that you've that you've done in just a short matter of time. I mean, just absolutely amazing. I'm definitely a fan now. If I
Ah,
wasn't before, I'm a fan now. I'm definitely gonna be
thank
following
you.
you and following up and seeing how everything's going and watching some of the games. Try to maybe come to a couple of games and see you guys play. I am a lover of the game completely. I'm a little crazy, I think maybe.
Are you?
Like, I'm a little basketball crazy a little bit. So I've done a lot of random crazy things and just showing up at AAU tournaments. I don't know any kids there. I'm just going. I just want to go see basketball. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. But and I also see a lot of girls, so I may shoot some
Please.
players your way that I run into that I see, and I'm always following girls on Instagram and like who do you play AAU with? Like where what are your top choices? I'm a
Right.
little bit of that, so I might have to send some girls down to the Gulf Coast.
And
And
if this ain't the perfect fit, I'm gonna help you find the right fit
hey,
for sure.
see, any more questions, Coach Ani? I know she can't hear you, which
I know
I
that's
know, I'm so
terrible.
sad.
I'm just glad that you guys got, I mean, now you know who I'm talking about when I'm talking about Chante, so that's a good thing.
she's just saying basically now I know who you're talking about. She's talking about when she's talking about Chante. She had, like I said, we've had lots of conversations about you and
Oh,
your. She's like, oh, I've known her forever, and she spoke really highly of you, and
oh,
so I'm just glad that we got the opportunity to do this, and we're all missing WNBA games right now to be on
we
here.
are. We are. And that's okay. This was good.
Right. We're gonna watch them on demand later.
They're
Right.
on demand.
Um,
They're on demand. We'll be okay.
so I just want to thank you again for taking the time to talk to us. It really was amazing, and we look forward to seeing what Gulf Coast does. We're gonna repeat it. We're gonna repeat.
Right. Year
Like a little
two. We back and we
yeah.
better.
Okay. Okay. And I'm looking forward to seeing where the girls end up. Especially the one that just committed today. So
I
let
know.
I love that. I
We'll
love that
see.
for
We'll
them.
see.
I
We'll
love that for
see.
them. So we appreciate you and thank you again. And yeah, to say
Thank
peace and
you
increase.
guys so much for having me. I appreciate you. Coach Ani, like I said, we have known each other for a while. So I'm so happy that I can do this. And if y'all need
Appreciate it.
anything from me, you have my numbers. And yeah, thank you guys. All love.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Follow We Ballin' 2 on all social media outlets. Stay connected for hoops, life, and everything in between. We'll catch you next episode.